Hi, kid. How you been? Long time no fairy stories. Time to get moving. Time to move your feet to the fairy tale beat coming at you down the street. Bit of a rhyme there for you, kid. Anywho, on with the show, as they say, and today's show is Cinderella. Ella, 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 Ella. All together now. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Cinderella, obviously. She lived happily with her dad in a big house until one day her father, after years of being alone, got married again. Her wicked stepmother had 2 daughters. Da, da, da. The big, bad, ugly sisters. Boo. The big, bad, ugly sisters. Boo. Made Cinderella's life very difficult. They spent all the money on themselves, so that there was no money left for Cinders. She dressed in worn-out clothes and worn-out shoes. They had all the nice stuff, but she had nothing. The big, bad, ugly sisters, boo, would do bad stuff and order Cinders about, saying stuff like, "Sister, make me a cup of tea, and when you've done that, sort out all the recycling and tidy our rooms and wash the budgie and iron my book bag and make me a donut and sharpen all my crayons and pretend to be a cat and fill my water bottle with raspberry juice, for which you'll have to first grow some raspberries because we haven't got any, and then squeeze them into juice by tomorrow morning." Poor Cinderella. She never knew what to do first. She was tired out because she never got any sleep, because the big, bad, ugly sisters, boo, kept telling her to do stuff. Then, one day, the handsome young prince announced that he was having a ball. I don't mean he was having a football or a beach ball. A ball was an old name for a dancing around kind of party doodad. I don't know what he was doing before. Probably princing around the place and a bit of waving at people out of car windows. Anywho, the prince gave invitations to everyone. The big, bad, ugly sisters, boo, were so excited. "Cinderella cleaned my best dress. Cinderella cleaned my shoes. Cinderella washed my pants. Ugh. Cinderella cleaned my teeth and washed between my toes. Yuck." Poor Cinders was so tired, she just wanted to sleep. She hadn't got any nice clothes anyway. "I'll never meet the prince at the dancing around kind of party too, Dad." The big, bad, ugly sisters, boo, got all dressed up and smelly better, and off they went to the dancing around kind of party doodad, leaving poor Cinders all alone, singing songs to herself and reading Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. Then, the most amazing thing happened. There was a flash, and an old lady appeared with a magic wand. "Cinderella, Ella, 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 Ella. I am your fairy godmother," she said. "Fair enough," joked Cinderella. "Don't joke about, dear, we haven't got long. Do you want to go to this dancing around kind of party too, Dad, or what?" "Oh, yes, please," said Cinderella. "Right-ho, you need to get a shift on then. Go and find me some white mice, a pumpkin, Stanley the dog, and an orangutan." "Wait! No! Don't!" What a strange list whispered Cinderella to herself. Mind you, she didn't want to look rude, so off she went. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to catch 3 white mice. I tried to catch one normal one once that was running around the house. It was so hard I thought I'd just give up and call it my pet mouse and leave it alone. Anywho, somehow Cinders managed to catch them. She also had a pumpkin hanging around since Halloween, which was handy, and she called up the dog by opening the window and bellowing, "Sausages!" at the top of her voice. The fairy godmother, fair enough, got out her wand and swished it about. "Time for magic! Help out Cinderella! That prince'll be a lucky fella. The party's gonna be so great. Just be careful you don't stay out too late." There was a flash of light, sparks and a bang. Smoke covered the whole scene as it cleared. There was a coach with a coachman and 3 white horses. All Cinderella's clothes had been magicked into new posh ones. And she had 2 beautiful glass slippers on her feet. Well, she had 1 beautiful glass slipper on each foot, not 2 slippers on both feet. That would be silly. "Wow," said Cinders. "This is great. Thank you. But what was that bit in the spell you just did?" "Which bit, my child?" said the fairy godmother. "Something about not staying out too late." "Ah, yes, that's a teeny-weeny problemetto. At the stroke of midnight, everything will turn back as it was before. Your clothes, the mice, the pumpkin, and Stanley the dog." "I'll remember," promised Cinderella, and with another "thank you," because she was a nice, polite, well-behaved girl, Cinders was off. In the coach, pulled by 3 white horses and a driver called Stanley. Her dream had come true. She was off to the dancing around kind of party doodad. Cinderella couldn't believe her eyes. It was a more beautiful, dancing around kind of party doodad than she could have ever imagined. The people were swished round to the music as if they were flying. The walls were gold, the ceiling all sculpted into the shape of clouds and angels playing harps. The floor shone bright. As she walked downstairs into the room, she saw the prince walking along happily. La 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 la. It took a few seconds before she realized that he was walking towards her. They started talking, and before long they were dancing, because it was, after all, a dancing around kind of party doodad. They danced and danced all night. When they weren't dancing, they were talking. "Do you like to eat food?" asked the prince. "Yes," said Cinders. "Do you like orangutans?" "Of course," said the prince. "They're so nice and orange and cuddly." "I also like cats." "Ooh, I like cats too. They are cuddly and cute." "I like horses too," said Cinders. "But I've never had a go on one." "They're called horses, not horses," laughed the prince. "I've got a spare one. I'll teach you how to drive them if you like." "Do you mean ride them?" said Cinders. "Whoops! Oh yes," laughed the prince. "I'm so happy talking to you, I keep forgetting me words. The prince and Cinderella were getting on so well, she completely forgot the time. Suddenly, she looked at the huge clock. It was only a few short minutes before 12. Da, da, da! "I have to go," she said, and she ran as fast as she could because she didn't want the prince to see her all normal and in her Cinder's clothes. As she ran up the stairs, one of her glass slippers came off. She didn't have time to turn round and pick it up. The clock was already bonging for 12 o'clock. She dived back into the coach and whoosh! She was off and almost immediately at home. The mice scurried off into their mouse holes. The dog went woof, woof, woofing after the mice. The carriage turned back into a bit of a smelly old pumpkin. Cinder stood in her old, worn-out, patched-up clothes and started to cry. Soon, the big, bad, ugly sisters, boo, came home. "What a lovely dancing around kind of party, Doodad, that was," they were saying. "Who was that beautiful girl that the prince was with all night? I thought she looked a bit like Cinderella," laughed one. "Imagine if the prince had been spending all his time with that young flibberty-gibbet. Tee-hee! Ho, ho! Ho, ho! Ho, 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 ho!" The next morning, the big, bad, ugly sisters, boo, were bossing Cinders about when there was a knock at the door. Knock, knock. As usual, Cinderella had to open the door. It was a messenger from the prince. "Hello, hello, hello," he said. "I am a messenger from His Highness the Prince. His Highness the Prince has found this slipper. He says whomsoever this slipper fits the feet of, he will marry, because it belongs to his one true love, the girl he met at the dancing around kind of party too, Dad. What he just held last night. His Majesty is hiding himself in the carriage just over there behind the... Oops! I wasn't supposed to say that bit. Now you all know he's hiding." "I won't say anything," said Cinders. "Promise," said the messenger. "Pinky promise," said Cinders, and they put their little fingers together to prove it. "What's all this din?" bellowed one big, bad, ugly sister. Boo! The messenger explained. "Whomsoever this glass slipper fits the feet of will marry the prince." "Oh, me!" shouted the first sister. She tried the slipper on, but could not get her foot in, no matter how hard she tried. "Oi, stop it!" yelled the messenger. "It's made of glass, you know, missus. Don't break it." Next! The second big, bad, ugly sister, boo, came forward to try the slipper. "Ooh, it's definitely mine," she said. "Just let me get my dainty, dainty toes back inside that beautiful glass slipper I was wearing last night." But of course, she couldn't get her toes in, because they weren't at all dainty. They were enormous and very smelly because she hadn't washed them in ages. "Pooh!" said the messenger. "Get your smelly, smelly feet away from His Highness's slipper." There was only Cinderella left. Carefully, she tried on the slipper. It fitted perfectly, like a glove or slipper. "Your Majesty," shouted the messenger, "Your Majesty, it's her, this here slip of a girl. She's the one you've been searching for all this time. You can come out now." "Wow," said Cinderella. "Were you hiding all the time in that carriage behind the tree?" "Yes," said the prince. "Ha ha! You had no idea, did you?" "No," said Cinders. "Obviously, you're such a great hider. I had no idea." And she winked at the messenger and held up her little finger. The messenger grinned. "Anyway," said the prince, "enough of the yada yada. You must be the girl I met last night and fell in love with." "I am," said Cinders. The big, bad, ugly sisters, boo, were amazed and gobsmacked. "I'm gobsmacked," said the first. "I'm more gobsmacked than you," said the second. "No, you're not." "Yes, I am." "Not. Not." "Shush!" shouted the prince. "This story is called Cinderella, so she's the most important. You two sidekicks need to keep out of it. Cinderella, will you marry me?" "Ooh, yes, please," said Cinders. And they had a great big wedding with flowers and a lovely dancing around kind of party doodad and party food and funny hats and balloons and singers and everything. But no orangutans. And they all lived happily ever after.